we're going to be talking about something I haven't ever spoken about on the podcast, but it is something that I talk about a lot in my life with my friends, with my partner, with people in my team. It has become a topic that is hot for me and I think for everyone. And it's something that I want to talk about more on the podcast because look, I always say I desire nothing more than for you to be healthy, wealthy, abundant, and free. And if you want to be healthy, wealthy, abundant, and free, not only now, but in the future and beyond, you're going to have to get your head around today's topic. And it is none other than AI. Artificial intelligence. Now, look, I know everyone has different opinions when it comes to AI, and there are so many different things that I could say about this topic. But for today's conversation on AI, I want to zoom in on something that I think is really urgent and important, and also it hits a personal note. Now, this shift that we can feel and why our voice matters even more now in the time of AI than ever before, it actually ties into astrology as well. Now, you might have started to feel this shift, but Uranus is actually just moved into Gemini. And if you know anything about Gemini energy, you know that this is the planet that rules the mind. It governs communication, voice, ideas, and tech. It's sharp, it's clever, it's alive. And look, I know this energy very intimately because my partner of 12 years and also my best friend is also a Gemini. And I clearly have a type. I love people who contain multitudes, who keep me on my toes. I love Gemini energy through and through. And with this planetary shift that's happening in astrology with Uranus entering Gemini, we're now in a 7-year portal of radical acceleration, especially around how we communicate and how we create. So tech, especially AI, is about to evolve in ways that will make how it is used today feel ancient. Things are going to be moving super fast. But look, before you get overwhelmed, because I know this can be a really overwhelming topic, I really want you to anchor into this truth. In a world where machines can do more and more than ever before, what matters more than ever is your humanity. Your humanity right now is your greatest asset. And humanity is the heart of this series and also the heart of what I'm teaching in Safe to Be Seen, my brand new magnetic presence method, because it is all about your true presence and how your true presence is actually completely untouchable. You cannot be replicated by a machine. Sure, a bot can mimic your writing style, it can generate a caption, it can even learn your tone, but it cannot match your frequency. It cannot embody your lived experience, your emotions, your timing, the subtle energy that moves through your voice when you speak your truth. And that is what people remember, and that is what makes you unforgettable. And when you learn to feel truly safe in your body, when your nervous system is regulated and you're anchored in your essence and you just stop performing or faking it, that is when you start transmitting. You don't just post or produce work, you actually radiate your truth. You don't become someone that someone can just scroll past on Instagram because your energy reaches out to them beyond the screen. This is when you're not just showing up and being seen, this is when you're being truly felt. And right now, that presence is gold. It is the thing that every single person is looking for. Because when we reach for our phone, we're actually reaching for connection. We scroll to connect with something, anything. And the ones that can be felt beyond the screen and actually land in our hearts, I really do believe that that is the next generation of creators, thought leaders, influencers. They are the ones that are going to rise above the noise. It's not the ones that are replicating every other trend, but it is the ones that are truly anchored in their magnetic presence and being able to be seen and felt for their authentic presence. And this is the thing, let's be real. AI can draft your newsletters, it can plan your launches, it can write your sales pages, it can also remix your face into 1,000 different hyper-realistic ways. But what it can't do is it can't walk into a room with your spirit. It can't show up on a video with your unique spark. It can't shake someone else's soul with a story that only you can tell because it's your true lived experience. Your presence is the one thing that the algorithm cannot copy. And I want you to know that like in this time of AI, it can feel really overwhelming. It can feel like we have to do more, show up more. It can feel like we have to become machines. But you didn't come here to be a machine. You came here to be a human, to be felt, to express, to make mistakes, to speak, to cry, to collapse, and then rise and come back with more soul than ever before. And that's not weakness. Your humanness isn't weakness. It is aliveness. It is the beauty of the human experience. And I also think that's why founder-led brands are trending and so hot right now, because we're all done with just faceless logos and these empty aesthetics. We want humans. We want to know the soul behind the screen. We want to know the story behind the offering, the real person rather than just the product. An example of this, even though it's a very aesthetic brand, is something like Hailey Bieber's Rhode. Yes, it's visually stunning and it's highly aesthetic, and you could say it's polished and somewhat perfect. But at the same time, it is authentic to Hailey as a person. She is not this messy, chaotic person. She has this polished, cool girl aesthetic, and she's a bit of a trendsetter, and that appeals to a certain kind of person. And you can see on their Instagram that they're sharing more stories of her coming up with ideas, of her leading, of her showing up, and of her just being her. And that's why it works. Love her or not, she has magnetic presence. Even her partner, I don't know if you follow Justin Bieber online, but I recently started following him, and I just find his content at the moment is so interesting because it is just all about him showing up, memifying himself, being a messy human, and just being who he is without this kind of polished, marketed aesthetic. He's just being chaotic and showing himself creating music and creating his brand new brand. And I think it's so interesting when we start to look at the people that are being noticed at the moment. And I know I'm mentioning some very big time A-listers here, but this is an example of how the big time A-listers are no longer also being polished and perfect and hiding behind some perfect marketing campaign. Like, people are over that. People really want to see the human behind the message and the messiness behind the message as well. And I think that this is so interesting because at the same time as having this rise of AI where seemingly everything can be made perfect and duplicated and carbon copied of everything else within minutes, and things can just be ripped off like that. At the same time, we're getting this return to messy, human, authentic expression. And this is the thing. You have to realize always in life that things are always happening in balance. Something I truly think about so much when it comes to life is polarity. It's how the universe is always equaling itself out. It's always finding the middle. At the same time where things are rising with AI and things are becoming perfect, you have this rise with humanness and messiness at the same time. And these founder-led brands where, humanity is winning while at the same time AI is dominating in terms of what it can do. And it is just this really interesting exploration in how the universe works. It always finds a balance. And I think in the time of AI, we have to remember that it is more important than ever to come back to what makes us uniquely human and to really find our voice as humans. And this is what I wanted to talk about on this podcast. Now, obviously in this episode, I'm talking more about creators and founders and entrepreneurs and people in the public space, but AI affects everyone. It is affecting everyone far and wide. I don't think anyone goes to their job these days without using some kind of AI somewhere along the line. Maybe it might not be in their workflow, but there'll be a system or a payment gateway or an email or something that is impacted by an AI tool. So we really need to get our heads around the fact that this is just going to be everywhere. And at the same time, we have to really understand what it is we can do to stay sane, stay growing, and also stay soulful in the time of AI. So personally, I believe that while the world spins into some kind of AI panic basically every single day with all the things going on in this space, I truly do believe that the safest, smartest, and most soul-aligned that you can do in this time right here, right now, is actually to learn how to feel safe in your body. Because the thing is, if you can regulate your nervous system, if you can anchor into your voice, and you can embody your presence, you're always going to have a place in this changing world, no matter how fast the machine evolves. Because at the same time that artificial intelligence rises, authentic intelligence, which is your human intelligence, is going to rise as well. And let me tell you something, no matter what, humans will always crave connection. We want to feel other people. We want to trust other people. We want to be moved by other people. And that's why things like being safe to be seen, it's not just a luxury or a trend or a vibe or something I'm saying. It's actually a requirement if you want to lead, if you want to serve, if you want to break through the noise and move into the next era. The machines can support you, but they can't do your soul work for you. So with all of that said, I want to give you 5 mindset shifts that have really helped me with my own approach to AI. And look, these are going to be very valuable, especially if you are a content creator, an influencer, a founder, an entrepreneur, or someone with a career where you're using AI. But beyond that, if you were just someone that wants to stay on top of this conversation and on top of this topic, this is going to be so helpful for you, because I really do believe that everyone should be carving out a few hours a week to be thinking about AI. Like, I have AI hours in my business. And that brings me into my first mindset shift. And that is take time to use AI so AI doesn't use you. I do not think that anyone in the future is going to be able to get out of using AI. Like I said, AI is really integrated into so many different things in our modern day society. And I really don't think that many people in the world are existing these days in modern society without having AI in some shape or form in their life, whether they want to use it or they don't want to use it. And the fact is that AI might end up using us, and we don't really know where this technology is going. I don't have a crystal ball and I cannot tell you the future, but I do know that if you can stay on top of the developments of AI, if you can learn how to use AI so it doesn't use you, so you can use it to your advantage, then it is going to be so helpful for you. So I have something called AI hours in my schedule, and that's where a few hours a week I will sit down and I will stay on top of certain AI tools. So I'm learning brand new AI tools. I'm talking to my team about brand new AI tools. I'm watching AI news videos on YouTube. I'm signed up to a few newsletters where I'm like learning about AI every single day. I follow certain Instagram pages that talk about AI, because I really do feel like AI is a skill. It is something that is multifaceted. Artificial intelligence works in so many different ways over so many different industries. And I have found so many incredible tools where I've been able to integrate AI in my business. Now, that's been able to create less workload for my team. Now, I'm not looking to get AI to replace anyone, but I am getting AI to replace certain tools or tasks that they did that weren't fun. Like, the best thing about AI right now is it is taking over a lot of this repetitive, mundane work. There were so many things that my team were doing that now AI can just do for us. And they then get to focus on the things that they're very talented as, like the reason why I hired them, which is their unique essence, their unique spark, the way that they think, the way that they talk, their creative energy. And that's what I want my team to be doing. As an entrepreneur, I want nothing more than my team to be lit up about the things that light them up and to bring their unique essence to my company. So the more I can get rid of like the busy admin work and the repetitive work that's in some ways soul destroying, the better it is for them and the better it is for me. So really think about incorporating AI hours into your schedule. If you did this for the next 6 months and you just had 2 to 3 hours a week where you just spent some time rather than scrolling on Instagram, you went and read some AI blogs or you went and watched some AI news videos on YouTube, you would learn so much about what's happening. And then your mind and your reticular activating system is going to be tuned into the future, the potentials, the possibilities, and you're going to start thinking about how you can use AI rather than potentially having AI use you, or in the worst case scenario, losing the job that you love to AI. These days, the one thing that I'm noticing so much when I'm talking to my friends, and I'm also just reading so much about AI, is employers, they want people that are skilled in AI on their teams. So if you can come to your employer and you can tell them, hey, I found this AI tool for us to use, and I was thinking of implementing it into this workflow, like that is going to be so valuable to your employer, and they're really going to see you as someone that is on the forefront, that is thinking ahead and is trying to save them and the business time money, and energy, which at the end of the day in business, if you want to just look at it black and white, that's really what we're looking to do. My second mindset shift is to see AI as a co-pilot. Now, this idea was actually introduced to me when I read this book called Co-Intelligence, which I really recommend. And the idea that this book presented was to always have a human in the loop. It's not about AI doing all of your work for you, but it's about using AI to clarify, to enhance, and to support your creativity and your workflow so you can actually do more of what you desire. And I really love this concept. I love the idea of co-intelligence and co-piloting, because I think what is scary about AI is the idea that it could just take over and do everything for you, and then we're left to do nothing. And that's not original. That's not creative. That's not why we want to use AI. We want to use AI to minimize the things that maybe are frustrating, that are hard for us. I love using AI to help me with my writing when it comes to spelling and grammar and flow, because I sometimes haven't quite mastered a lot of those skills yet. Like, I have everything that I want to say, I have all the ideas, I have this unique voice, but sometimes the actual presentation of that and getting the comma and the right where and there and all of those things, like, I can get a little bit dyslexic about that. And AI helps me catch out those mistakes and basically amplify my writing and help me write with more clarity. So rather than looking at AI as something that you're just going to give all your work to, or you're going to get it to do everything, look at it as something that it is going to amplify and enhance you, and see it as a business partner, as this co-pilot. My third mindset shift is to amplify your unique essence in the time of AI. Now, look, I don't know about you, but I'm really over everything looking the same, being the same, sounding the same, fitting into the same aesthetic. Like, there has never been a more important time to amplify your uniqueness and find out who you really are. Trying to fit into a trend or aesthetic will just have you looking and sounding like every other single person doing that. But actually exploring your unique individual identity, playing with your style, your energy, your ideas, that is what is going to cut through the noise. Now, in my own business, Mindspo, like, I've been thinking a lot about Mindspo as the brand, and Rochelle Fox as, I guess, the brand as well, like the personal brand. And I don't want either of these brands to fit into a certain aesthetic. I've really enjoyed playing with this idea of Mindspo and the Rochelle Fox brand being their own universe, being their own world. And it's not about us following trends or being like aligned with what's hot now. It's about us making trends. It's about us attracting people that are in alignment to what it is that we're putting out there. And that might not be trend based. And I think we've got to move away from this idea that everything needs to be the same. An action step and a thought exercise that you can use to implement this particular mindset shift is to ask yourself, how can you be the glitch in the matrix? I've always loved this concept of being a glitch in the matrix, but when it comes to your work or how you speak or your social group, or even how you're showing up on social media, if that's something you're doing, or showing up in business or producing a product, how can whatever it is that you are doing be the glitch in the matrix? How can you make a ripple so you actually get noticed in the noise? And I think this is where we get it wrong. We think we're going to get noticed when we're on trend, but the things that I notice online, the things that I notice in businesses and consumer products and just in my day-to-day life, they're not the things that are necessarily trending. They're the things that like catch my attention because they make me feel something. They make me connect with something. It's the way they're delivered. It's the certain colors that they use. It's out of the box. That is what's going to get you attention. And that's also what's going to get you connection in a world where everything looks and feels the same. My fourth mindset shift is that the new currency is connection. And I want to talk about this in two separate ways. So I want to talk about this from like a content creator, entrepreneur, founder kind of way, and then honestly, also just a relationship, everyday life kind of way. So I want to talk about this firstly from a relationship point of view, because as you guys know, if you listen to this podcast regularly, I've been in a 14-year relationship. And I'm finding with the rise of AI and screens and just the fact that our work can go everywhere with us, that having real, deep, meaningful connection away from the screens, away from AI, away from this digital world that we live in is so important and just like healing for your relationship. My partner Sol and I have been doing so many more like hobbies and activities together. Last night we literally went to a video arcade game kind of thing in Budapest, and it was so much fun. We just like spent 20 or 30 euros, I think it was, just getting different tokens. And then we were there for 45 minutes just playing all of these different games, and not all of them were digital games. Some of them were pool and air hockey and that a 90s game where you like direct the, what's it called? When you like pick up a teddy bear from that claw. And it was such a fun, like you can hear it in my voice. It was such a fun night because it was just about us connecting together. And yeah, although we have connection when we're like sitting and just talking or lying in bed or having dinner with one another, I really do feel that the involvement of doing something together that is like an activity in this time where we're so used to just being on screens and just sitting down, like that is so important. Now, on the other side of things, when we're talking about this from a business owner, content creator, entrepreneur side of things, I think that really connecting with the people that you're serving, that is so important. Like having these deeper ways of communicating. One of the things that I've noticed is that when I was writing my book last year and I was off the podcast and I wasn't really doing long form content, I found my connection with this community like really started to fade away because we're not really connecting over these short form 15 1-minute videos or these little posts that we put on the algorithm. Like they're just fleeting. Like honestly, right here, right now, try and think about 3 stories that you watched yesterday. And can you really think about 3 stories that you watched yesterday from someone else? Probably not, because they're just so fleeting. They don't actually make memories. But when it comes to actually spending time with someone and having that comfort creator where it just feels like they're your friend and that they get you and that they're talking to you, like that is what I feel is the new currency these days. And I don't mean this in the way like that's the thing that's going to make you so much money. But what I mean is that's like the human currency, like the soul currency. That's the thing that I want to feel. I don't want to just be doing this work just to make a certain amount of money or whatever. That doesn't really mean anything. I've been around the block long enough to know that just all the money in the world isn't actually going to bring me happiness. It's the feeling, it's the community, it's a connection with other people, it's that depth that we crave. So really ask yourself, like, how are you connecting on a deep level with people? Not only if you are a content creator and you're putting your work out there and you're trying to be seen by other people, but also in your life. How are you connecting with your loved ones? And are you connecting from a place of depth, or is your connection with the people that you love like literally just sending them reels every single day and then talking about the reels that you saw over the dinner table and, oh my God, did you see that video I sent you? It was so funny. That's not a real memory. That's just like a digital little blimp in the radar. So really think about how can you deeply connect with people, because that is what's going to make you feel wealthy. That's what's going to make you feel abundant and just have that rich feeling that we're all looking for. My 5th and final mindset shift for you is to be more magnetic and less mechanical. Look, everything is going to become automated. Like everything that can become automated is going to become automated. We are in the rise of the machines, the rise of AI, like automation and mechanical processes. It's going to be everywhere. It's going to be kind of crazy. Like I sometimes wish I could go 5 years in the future just to blow my mind and then come back now so I can really make the most of the time that I have, because I do think we are going to live in a world that we don't really recognize in the next few decades. It's going to become very strange to some of us. And I think millennials, especially, like I'm a millennial, we have gone through so many different evolutions. Like we remember like the analog world, and we grew up in a world without screens, without phones, and with deep nostalgia and memories. And the reason why I feel millennials are so nostalgic is because we really felt something growing up. We really felt that like magnetic presence of these moments in our lives that felt so alive because they were untethered, they were unprogrammed, they weren't predictable. Everything was just so real and raw and human. And I think Gen Z, I feel sometimes they struggle with that. They feel a bit dissociated. They feel a little disconnected and lonely because the world isn't as human as it used to be. It is more disconnected. It's more distant. So this is why magnetic presence, like I really do feel like my brand new course that I'm bringing out and this whole new program that I've birthed and kind of, I guess, the journey I've been on with the new things that I'm teaching, I really do feel like it's been a higher calling because the world really needs it right now. Like we need to have more depth. We need to have more feeling. And that is something that we need to remember and actually like teach ourselves how to get into again. I've even felt this in myself. Like I have felt like over the last few years, as I've used my computer more, as I've used technology more, as everything's become more automated, I've felt this kind of strange disconnect from this like presence and this loudness and this expressiveness that I used to have, because I've kind of changed a little bit how I show up, and I wanted to decondition that. I think the fact that we live in a world where it constantly feels like we can be performing because everything's recorded, whether you're on social media or not. Like you go to a nightclub or you go to a concert or you go out on the street and everyone's recording everything. Like everything's being documented, and we always feel like we're being watched, we're being filmed, we're being captured in some way. And I do think that feeling of always having eyes on us can really dull down our essence and our spirit. And that's why we need to get back into who we are and figure out our authentic truth and allow ourselves the space and the freedom to be in that, and to remove all of these conditioned thoughts of why we can't be that, and to really awaken that human spirit within, that magnetic presence that is so alluring and just, it feels so good to be around. To know that yes, things are going to be more automated, more streamlined, there's going to be more machines, but that doesn't mean you have to become more mechanical. That doesn't mean you have to be more straighty 180. If anything, this is the call, this is the time to be more expressive, because that is really what is going to move mountains, make people feel things, and honestly, also just make you feel good, and other people that interact with you feel so good as well. I love a good human interaction. There's nothing more beautiful than really connecting with another person's humanity. That's when I feel most alive. It's not when I'm on my computer working out the systems for whatever sales funnel I'm doing. It's when I'm like having a conversation at a coffee shop or jumping on a plane and connecting with someone. Those are the real raw moments that mean something. And we all need to learn how to tap back into that. Don't forget, if you want to enroll in my brand new course, Safe to Be Seen, the Magnetic Presence Method, you can sign up now with $100 off only for a limited time. Just use the code podcast100 at checkout, and that will give you a discount off the first live cohort. I don't think I'll be doing another live cohort of this for a little while, so jump in with that code if you are at all interested in joining me to tap into your magnetic presence in the time of AI and beyond. I cannot wait to start this whole entire journey with so many of you. And I will see you next week on the podcast for another episode. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, please leave me some feedback. I'm so curious to know if you would like me to speak more about AI, if you find these topics interesting. I know it's a little bit different to what I normally do, so your feedback is so welcome. Just leave a comment on Spotify or slide into my DMs. I'm sending you so much love, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for joining me for this episode. You can discover more from Mindspo on Instagram and TikTok by following @Mindspo and myself @Rochelle_Fox. If this episode inspired you, then please pass it on and share the love. And lastly, always remember, you create your own reality. So go and make some magic.